What is going on, guys? This is Beanie, and today we are going to be talking about the content update that came out yesterday, but we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be doing player reviews, and I'm going to do this for every single gold and diamond player that came out in the last review. I think that I got all of them. There were a lot of guys that came out. Some of them are season rewards, some of them you get in packs, some of them are event rewards. I'm going to go through and I'm going to give these guys a grade based on how valuable I think they will be in the game, and I'm calling the grade the final assessment grade, or the FAG. And then I'm going to be compiling all of these guys into a big I don't know, I guess you'd call it a database, which I'm calling the Grade Assessment Yearbook, or GAY. So we're going to go through and we're going to give, I think there are about 10 guys. We're going to go through and we're going to give them their FAG. But yeah, let's get into the first guy. Okay, guys, the first one is the 96 overall Tony Gwynn, and you earn this card through making the World Series in ranked seasons. So he won't be available for about a month, but that's okay. This card is absolutely great. He has great contact, he has very good power, very good vision, his fielding is phenomenal, and he has really good speed and stealing too. So, you may be thinking, wow, this card is fantastic. This is a 10 out of 10, right? Well, no. And one of the reasons he gets knocked down so much is because he is just so similar to his 86 overall version that you get from the Padres Epic. So, you have to ask yourself, is spending the stubs worth it just to get a slight stealing boost, a slight fielding boost, and a slight power boost? That's a question that you're going to have to ask yourself. I think that this card is noticeably better for one reason, because he does have 61 power versus righties. So against righties, he has enough power where he is going to be getting normal exit velos, and you're going to be able to hit the ball out a lot more consistently than you will be with this 86 overall. But since this 86 overall is just so brutally similar to this 96 overall, it bumped his grade down a good bit. So instead of being, like a 9+, I put his FAG at a 7.3 overall. And there will be decimal places in these grades. So Tony Gwynn comes in with a 7.3. Okay, and the next card that we're going to talk about is Doug Fister, and this is another card you earn through ranked seasons. I believe you get him for making like the All-Star division or something, or maybe the Wild Card division. I'm not really sure, but it's one of those lower divisions, very easy to obtain. This card, guys, is just not very good. He's not going to be very useful for you. He has very good control, but his hit per 9 is okay, but it's drugged down by that terrible K per 9. He doesn't throw hard at all. Only 48 velocity. You'll be lucky if this guy cracks 90 miles per hour with his four seam. He has okay break, but really he has a changeup and a curveball. But, he doesn't throw hard enough to be usable, even though the sinker and the cutter do make him, a little bit more appealing. I don't think it's enough to really overcome the other faults in this card. So I ended up giving Fister an FAG of 2.9, and it's kind of funny to say Fister gets an FAG of anything. I don't know. There's definitely a joke to be made in there. But yeah, he gets a 2.9 overall, and really the only reason he's that high is because of his pitch selection. I think that, he may be usable against like really low level competition, but against anything higher than like the 4th highest division, I don't think he's going to be very effective for you. Up next is the 89 Joe Carter, and this guy is a very solid gold. He's not fantastic, but he's very solid. He plays right field, and he's a solid hitter across the board. He's got really good contact. He's got well above average power. He's got well above average vision. He's going to be able to hit the ball about as good as any other gold in the game, maybe better than any gold in the game. He's a great gold hitter. I don't imagine he's going to be too terribly expensive. Once the market settles down a little bit, you'll probably be able to get him rather cheaply. His defense isn't going to be the best, but it's going to be about average, no better, no worse. And he has that benefit of the 73 speed, so you're going to be able to turn in maybe a couple extra base hits because of that. He also has the added benefit of being able to play first base, but I don't really see that as a benefit because first base is so easy to fill anyway that I don't think this is a card that you're necessarily going to play there. He's probably going to play like maybe left field for you or something. But given the fact that he is just such a solid hitter across the board, and he's an average runner with average defense, it makes me believe that he would be above average in terms of usability. So that ends up churning out an FAG of 6.4. So 6.4 for Joe Carter, 5 being the as average can get. I think this guy is going to provide, a little bit above average everything for you as far as utility in a game goes. Okay, up next is the 87 overall Harmon Killebrew that was released just recently. This card is very interesting. He can play third base and left field. He's not a good runner. He has terrible defense. But he does have utility because a lot like the Jeff Francoeur from last year, he is perfect versus lefties. He is 99-99. I guess he's not perfect because of the 65 vision, but 99-99 against lefties, that is huge. This is a guy that you could definitely get some utility out of on your bench. If you have a platoon heavy third baseman or left fielder, this is the guy for you to platoon with that guy. That's about all the utility that you're going to get out of him, though, is against left-handed pitching. And, since you can't see the handedness of the pitcher on the lineup screen, I don't know how valuable that is relative to last year. But he is a little bit better than the Francoeur in the sense that he isn't completely a waste of space versus righties. He has 96 power. His contact is 39, and mixed with that 65 vision, your PCI is going to be pretty small. But if you're really good with it, if you're really good at spotting that PCI, you can get a lot of power out of him against righties. So I think that kind of adds a little bit to his utility, not a ton. He comes in just under the Joe Carter at a 6.0 FAG. Okay, and up next is the 93 overall Andrew Miller. I believe you earned this card for going 12-0 in events. I believe. I'm not 100% on that, but that's where I believe you get this card from. This card is a bit tough because he is really good, but he is almost identical to his live series version. There are very few differences between the two. I think the live series has like one more velocity and their walk per 9 maybe a little bit different. So them being so similar, it was kind of tough to grade both of them out. So what I did is I just took I graded the live series Miller, and then I put this Miller just under him, 2 points under him, because with this Miller you aren't working towards any collections, and with the other Miller you are. So I think that I do kind of not a lot, but I do take in to consideration if a guy is going to give you anything towards missions when determining their value. And because the live series Miller does and this one really doesn't, he scores just above him. I scored the live series Miller at a 5.8. I don't like that card a ton because I don't think he has a ton of usability versus righties in the higher levels. In the lower levels he does, and this card is largely the same. In the lower and mid levels, this card will be devastating versus both sides. Against higher level competition, I think that this is a guy that will destroy left-handed hitting, but against righties, you might have to get awfully creative. So I scored the live series at a 5.8, and I scored this one at a 5.6. But, you know, relative to the Killebrew, I do think that this card has more utility than the Killebrew. So I'm going to augment that score, and I'm going to give the Andrew Miller, I'm going to give the live series a 6.6, and I'm going to give this one a 6.4. So about the same score as the Joe Carter. I think that you're going to get about the same amount of game value out of them. Okay, coming up next is the 93 overall Robin Yount. This is a card that I believe that you get from the special events pack that is out currently. And this card is really interesting. If he had a secondary at shortstop, I would absolutely love this card. And to me, it's kind of weird that he doesn't. Like, did he just not play shortstop at all this season? Even if he played it in like 88 or 90, it seems like they would give him a secondary there, but he doesn't. So, you know, he's stuck in the outfield, which in my opinion deflates his value a good bit because the outfield is so deep. He's a great hitter. Against righties, he is well above average. Against lefties, he's elite. So, you know, that's really just my basic takeaway from this card. He has about average speed. For a center fielder, I would call his fielding below average. I would call his arm strength slightly above average, so it kind of averages out to just average. But hitting wise, I do think you'll get a lot of value out of this card. So I ended up putting his score at a 6.1, just under the Carter and the Miller. Coming up next is the 91 Matt Latos, and this card is really interesting, guys. He has really good per nines. He hits that 155 to 160 threshold. He has a 164 hit and K per nine combined. That's very good, especially for a low diamond. You know, for a high diamond, you expect it to be better. But he also has really good control and walk per nine to go with that. And his stuff isn't bad. He has really good all-speed stuff, a very good slider, a decent changeup, a decent curve, and he throws, you know, in the low to mid 90s. I mean, with 74 velocity, he can probably run it up to 95, maybe 96. I doubt it, but maybe 96. I haven't tested this card out yet, but that's certainly a possibility. And if he can hit that, this card has a lot more value than you would think. But he does have the detraction of not being overwhelming in any way. His per nines aren't gonna make your PCI minuscule. It'll just do a really solid job of shrinking it. And he's not gonna overwhelm you with velocity, but he's gonna be, you know, he's gonna keep you honest. His all-speed stuff isn't devastating, but it's very good. I don't know. This card is just, I think you'll get well above average utility out of this card, but I don't know that he is going to be that dominating guy that you're looking for. So, with all that said, I ended up putting his FAG at a 6.8. I think that's about right for him. I don't think that he's a guy that would get over like 7 or 8, but I think that this might be a guy that whose price, like, I don't think he's going to cost that many stubs for very long. I think you'll probably be able to get this guy for well under 15K in a week or two, maybe already right now. I don't know. I haven't looked at the market. But if you can, that is a good, cheap way to fill a rotation spot cheaply. Okay, guys, and now we get to one of the big daddies here, and that is the 94 overall Cal Ripken Jr. And this card is really interesting because he does have a 99 overall version that, in my opinion, is a 10.0 in terms of utility. But the fact that he does have that counterpart does detract a little bit of this guy's value away. Not a ton, because the 99 is kind of hard to acquire. You have to run pretty deep in the Dynasty program to get him. So this may be a cheaper alternative, or at least an easier alternative for you, at least until you can get that Cal Ripken. And this guy is going to do you just fine. He has elite contact skills. He has well above average power versus both sides. He has great vision, so your PCI is going to be big enough. His fielding is fantastic. It's not as good as his 99 version, but he still has that 96 arm strength, which is going to make everything else play up, because if you get to one of those hard hit balls in the hole, and you may get a bad animation from the fielding or something, he has the arm strength to overcome that. He's going to be throwing missiles over there at first base. This isn't a shortstop that you're going to get a lot of speed out of, but with the phenomenal defense and the borderline elite hitting, I still think you get a ton of value out of this card, and I ended up putting his FAG at 8.1. Okay, and finally, the last guy we're going to talk about is the 88 Steve Garvey, and this card is kind of weird. He plays first base and left field, and if you put this guy at first base defensively, he is going to be a stud for you. But, I mean, does first base defense really matter that much to you? Like, do you feel like you save many runs from a great defensive first baseman? Because I don't. And if you put this guy in left field, I guess his defense will also, be pretty good for you there. But I wouldn't say I would consider it like elite, just well above average. And hitting wise, he has these weird, he has these, they're not even weird. He just has these splits, where, he's very good at getting on base or making solid contact versus righties, but he has not much power at all, virtually none for a first baseman. He's not going to hit many home runs for you against right-handed pitching, but your PCI is going to be huge, and you're going to be able to make a good amount of solid contact. Now, versus lefties, he's a stud, kind of like that Yount card, the Yount card. 80, 82, 92, that is phenomenal, especially with the 93 vision. It just kind of depends. If you have like a platoon heavy left-handed first baseman or left fielder that you want to get a good left-handed hitter for, or a good lefty hitter for, like someone who hits left-handed pitching good, this could be the guy for you. So that does give him some utility, but the fact that he plays first base and it's just so easy to find guys there, that drives his score way down. But I still think he has above average utility, so I ended up putting his score at a 5.1, just slightly above average. If he played a more premium position, if he played third base, if he played, second or something like that, it'd be way higher. But he doesn't. He plays first base, so it is a 5.1. So yeah, guys, that is gonna do it for my first player review. I'm gonna be doing these every time they release some new content. I'm gonna give everybody an FAG. I'm gonna put them into the GAY. It's gonna be lit. It's totally not homoerotic at all. But yeah, guys, that is gonna do it, and I will see you guys later. Peace.